Hey guys, Roxy Sims here, and I have another speed build for you today. Today I am building a modern mobile micro home. I am naming this build that because, number one, I really like alliteration, but also because this has a modern, deserty, hint of tropical design to it. This is mobile, just like mobile tiny homes are super popular right now, and this is super tiny. It qualifies as a micro tiny home. When the Tiny Living Stuff Pack came out, I knew I was going to start to fill this section of Oasis Springs with tiny homes. I thought it'd be perfect because I wanted to fill this whole area with mobile homes. And so this time I'm doing, just a regular mobile tiny home. Then I'll have like a regular trailer. And then the build before this one, I did a camper, because I want this whole area of Oasis Springs to be a trailer park. So, it was quite obvious to me when Tiny Living came out, this was the perfect place to kind of practice my tiny home building skills. And since my last tiny home build was a very retro vintage camper, I wanted to go completely opposite to that and make this one a very modern, trendy kind of mobile tiny home. If you turn on the TV, you will see tons of tiny living building shows everywhere on so many channels. And that is the kind of feeling that I wanted this place to have. So many people nowadays are building these very modern homes and just putting them on a trailer. So they really are more like a stick-built home, just mobile, just on a trailer, as opposed to previous kind of mobile homes where they're just very like factory made, maybe cheaper materials, lots of metal. So these are more, like a regular stick-built home, just mobile is all. I kind of designed the whole interior just really based on the Tiny Living furniture. I love the Tiny Living furniture. I think it's so cute, and I really just wanted to find a way to use a lot of it all in this space. And so I came up with this kind of like olive green, pink kind of color scheme. And I love this color scheme. I would totally use it in my own house. The design is a tad more modern than I would put in my own house, but the color scheme I could totally get behind. These people I could definitely imagine are really big into cooking, so I wanted to give like a huge kitchen. I mean, it's huge for the size of this house. And I also thought they were like big into plants. So, as you can see, I have the leaf wallpaper, which I love that wallpaper, and I do try to put as many plants as I could all around this place. I also really think that these people are vegan. I don't know why. I'm just like, yeah, definitely they're vegan, they gotta be. I also in the back put a garden area, so they really like grow their own food and are just like into, I think, more of a natural kind of living, if that makes sense. Lots and lots of people choose to live tiny because they're wanting to live more sustainable lives. So I feel like that's why these particular people, these people that I've totally made up, but I feel like that's why these particular people live in a tiny home. They're just, growing their own food, trying to be conscious of, their footprint, really. Maybe one of them is a chef, or if not a chef, someone just who really likes to cook. Because, with the garden in the back and the, in comparison, pretty large kitchen for the size of the house, I think one of them has to just be really, really into cooking, maybe even doing it for a living. They even have those herbs hanging in the window, which I love those herbs. But, I figured they probably grew them themselves. And, the full-size appliances, which, of course, that's all we have. But, besides the mini fridge, we do have a mini fridge. It just kind of sucks because it doesn't work like a regular fridge in the game. You can only do, like, quick meals and stuff like that. Anyways, that's one thing that if I lived tiny, I could not go without my full-size appliances. I really like to cook, I like to bake, And, I often, like almost always, cook all our meals here and at home instead of, rather than going out. And also, it doesn't help that I live way out in the middle of the country and no one delivers here. So, it's kind of imperative that I cook a lot. But yeah, like I said, it's not something I would ever be willing to sacrifice or give up. I need a good sized kitchen. I like to do way too much cooking to have a small kitchen. But I have talked about like tiny living. If I've always wanted to buy a camper and renovate it myself, and I would put in big appliances. Have to. The biggest main area of the house would 100% be the kitchen. So I've always known that if I ever lived tiny, I'd go big on all the kitchen, and then I could go for having a smaller living room if it meant a good sized kitchen. In other words, if I ever went tiny, it would be very similar to this. That's kind of how my house is now, like the one I'm living in right now. My living room probably is smaller than lots of people's bedrooms, but my kitchen is much bigger than my living room. It's my kitchen and dining room, probably twice the size of my living room at least, and that is the way I like it. This tiny home also has a pretty good sized bathroom, wouldn't you say? I mean, I had room to put in laundry in there. I always do try to put in laundry in all the houses that I make, just as an option. You could always, like, if you don't have the laundry pack, you can always take it out and maybe give a little bit more room to the living room if you would like. I think the reason that I love the color scheme in this house so much is that the pink and the green are they're so calming, and those two colors are so toned down that they're almost kind of like kind of neutral-ish, in when you use them in this way, and that's why I like them so much. I do like a pretty neutral house. That's just my own personal style. I like more neutral base colors, and then I like putting in little pops of color. So yeah, I just really like this pink and green in here. As you can see, I have moved on to working on the landscape. And I think as far as tiny homes go, I mean, a lot of people spend a lot, if not most of their time outside when they can, so I definitely wanted to make the outside really nice. I put like I said, I put this garden area back here and a fire pit outside, and then a little pergola with a dining table out there. I like putting a dining table outside because normally on the inside you can't fit a whole lot of dining. So if you have some people over, not a lot of room for everyone to sit down and eat. So I do like having the bigger dining table outside. And a grill, of course, you gotta have a grill. But I do use this like gravel to kind of decorate a lot of this landscaping. One, because it's a popular way to give some interest to a desert landscape. And also, putting grass in the desert is it requires a lot of water to keep grass growing in the desert. I figure these people living sustainably and things like that are not going to want to use a lot of water for a lawn. So, had to go gravel with this. When the whole mobile tiny home trend really started years and years ago, I always wondered, I was like, why are they always mobile? Why aren't they more often, like permanent housing? And I figured out that it's actually because of government requirements, like city requirements and HOAs, that they don't always allow permanent homes, like stick-built, non-mobile homes, to be that small. I actually did not know that at the time, but it totally makes sense now why a lot of people build mobile tiny homes, because in so many places you can't have it that small. In some places the building code requires a place to be like over 1,000 square feet. Some places it's only allowed to have a stationary tiny home to be like on property with a bigger home already on it, kind of like a guest house. So there's lots of different rules just depending on like where you are located. And then some of them you're allowed to park and live in full time as long as you're in a place where it allows mobile homes. So there's lots of different codes and rules and things like that. I even found out when researching this that in some places you're not allowed to live permanently in an RV, which some of these places are considered RVs since they're on wheels. So some places you can't live in an RV permanently at all, which is crazy. But I know that a lot of places are starting to kind of change the rules because of this tiny living movement. It's becoming more acceptable to live in, a tinier footprint, and so the rules are changing, so that's good. It will be easier, I think, in the future for people to choose this kind of living situation, which is really good news. Tiny living is a great thing. I commend anyone who does it, for real. And it'll be great when kind of the law gets more on board with that. As I have mentioned before on this channel, I would love to live in like an RV or a camper, and I would love to just take it and drive all around the country in it. That's a dream of mine. Hopefully one day, fingers crossed, I can live out that dream, but it seems like such an interesting and fun way to live. I'm so jealous whenever I see people who get to live that way. I'm like, oh, that's how I want to live. I want to see everywhere, go all across the country. If I could take it overseas, then I would too. But that might be a little expensive and hard. But at least I'd be able to, go all around the country. Canada would be great. Mexico would be great. Yeah, I think that would be such a fun way to live. I figure an RV or a camper would be really perfect for that because, they're literally made for traveling. Although a tiny home like this would be cool too if you kind of wanted to travel but stay somewhere for a little longer. So maybe like a couple months, in each place. That's when this kind of home would be perfect. Well, guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Bye, everybody.